Hey there, welcome to this sketching tutorial where I'm going to share with you how I create sketchbook style drawings and share with you my thoughts and process about sketching and drawing in general. We're going to draw this fantasy character. What you see here is sped up, but the actual tutorial is real time and fully narrated. It's just you and me hanging out, talking about drawing. Let's get started. Alright, my name's Tim Mcburnie. I've been a professional artist for 20 years and a professional drawing teacher for 10 years, and I'm here to help you master the art of line and color illustration. This is going to be a fully narrated, real-time, unedited tutorial, and it's just an opportunity for you to see how I would go about creating a sketchy, sort of sketchbook style image like this. Now, if you are someone who likes sketching, but maybe you feel like you could sketch more, or you're having challenges figuring out how to use your sketchbook, how to approach the blank page, how to figure out what to draw, check out my free regular sketching guide where I go over my basic advice for how to sketch regularly, draw regularly, and think about what the sketchbook means to us as artists. I think it's very easy to get assaulted by a huge ton of advice about how we should use our sketchbooks, and I think the most important thing is to make sure it's fun, make sure this process is fun. So that's what I talk about in that guide. Go check it out. Let's jump into this tutorial. All right, let's do some sketching. I'm going to start with some warm-ups. These little sort of A5 pieces of paper are really good for that. And again, I'm just going to play around with just warming up. I always recommend when you're starting to just draw something that you're already pretty comfortable with. So again, finding the pose a little bit as we go. Again, we can sketch, be loose. Don't have to worry about being like stressing about making a clean drawing. Trying to nail that expression. So again, just playing around. If it doesn't work, erase. I think the key is to get rid of the fear in the beginning, right? The fear is real, right? The idea of sort of like, let's be tentative, what's going on. And again, when we're in flow and we're drawing, we don't really have a lot of that, right? We're just sort of focused on getting through it, right? Solving problems. We're not so much worried about like, oh, but what if this, or maybe this is going to turn out well. Again, that's one of the reasons why I recommend always starting by drawing something that you're already comfortable with. Because that way, again, there's less stress. We sort of get into the right frame of mind. And again, just getting used to like flowing with the pencil a little bit, adjusting, get the right posture, get the right feeling. Just notice, am I tense? Is anything like obvious, going a little bit pear-shaped? And again, just getting used to drawing through, letting those sketchy marks kind of live there. Just speed through it. Now, again, this is what I would sort of do as a quote-unquote warm-up sketch. And the point is to warm up. The next sketch we'll do will be, again, less of like a warm-up sketch and more of a let's actually see what we can draw sketch. Also, sometimes, you just got to I always have to remind myself, stuff can be erased. Again, different types of drawing. Sometimes, we're trying to be very precise, sitting back, thinking, right? Other times, it's much more about, right? Like, let's try and get the right vibe. Sort of earlier on, I feel like that torso is, again, sort of like a bit small. Needs to come out a little bit more. Again, this is sort of looking messy. So again, like retrace some of those things, all right? See if we can like refine some of that geometry. That pencil's sort of getting a little bit blunt for this. So yeah, keep going, keep working. That'll do. All right. Again, sketchy. That's fine. Just playing around, getting things working. Right. I'm gonna get rid of this bit of paper. It's already a bit roughed up. So this pencil is looking a bit bit had it. But I'm just going to try use it initially to rough this in. All right. So again, I'm going to try and find the sort of gesture of the character. Just going to draw a standard, again, sort of standing character. So again, it's possible to kind of just construct everything sort of perfectly, right? And just sort of know what you're drawing. But I think, again, partly this is a discovery process as well. So some of what I'm doing is sort of trying to rough in the whole idea first. And again, that can result in things being kind of sketchy, but that's all right. I think those bones are poorly placed. All right, so that's, again, let's think about this. We've got attachment point for the neck. That's where it's going to meet that rib cage, and I want that head to kind of be pointing down a bit. Got to really think about where that sort of construction fits. So again, trying to find some gesture there to the hair. All right, that's where let's find that jaw. Traps. Mass in those shoulders. Okay, bottom of the rib cage. Find elbow. Horizon line is somewhere in the middle there. Center. Bottom of the pelvis. Leg, knee, foot. Center line. So wide shoulders. Now I want the character to be holding something. Like a big kind of hammer thing. I have a habit of drawing these arms a bit long, but again with this I can just kind of extend those legs a little bit, because if we extend the legs a little bit, from a proportional standpoint, it'll kind of still feel okay. Typically if you've got heroic proportions, let's find that center. Again, curving that down a bit, that's kind of cheating. Again, center is a little bit here. So I might want to just consider putting that foot a little bit further that way. And a big hammer. Of some kind. So again, I want it to kind of feel as if like it's like implausibly big. Right, like maybe it's not really meant for her. Like it's sort of like a giant's one or something. And to have over here, again, some kind of counterweight on it, so it feels like designed. Again, elbow, forearm muscles, I'm going to have something like this. Don't. Again, I think this torso is normally a bit, again, it's going to be sketchy, but let's move these hips down a bit so we can get a little bit more room there. So we're just going to do a sketchy pass, and then we'll sort of clean it up. And because I'm sort of looking up a bit at this, if I sort of get in the frame, you can see my head kind of goes in the frame. It's a real challenge using any sort of camera setup to draw. So I might sort of, again, have a phase where we sort of take it down and have a look at it more front on. Kind of construct this out. Now, let's think about where this cape can go. So again, if we think about the general space it's going to take up, right? It's going to take up this type of space. And again, we can, think about where that structure, right, might be. Just make sure, again, we've got like roughly the right size. Again, thinking about where, right, if this cape sort of thing was on the ground, right, where would it be? That's the best way to sort of think. If we carried the line down to the ground, where would it be? Just make sure, again, it's not like sort of off on some side, because again, I want it to be sort of centered. And I'm going to have this curved S sword. I forget how this goes exactly. I think something like that. All right. So we've got like a decent block in there. So again, if we like really get over it, make sure I'm looking down, check proportion. I feel like this head is something we really have to look for. Make sure we find center, bit of that there before we sort of erase. So again, I've got ears. Carry that over. Make sure we got the ear lines up. Again, earrings are hanging down. Just because I want something to hang down. Make sure those breasts are distributed across the center line. Alright, now we'll abandon our completely screwed pencil that's all used up and get a better one. And again, take this down, take this back so that we can sketch over it. Again, I'm not used to using these types of wooden pencils for my professional work. I normally use a 0.5 mechanical pencil, as I often say. These are just a nice darkness, so they show up really well on camera. And I'm getting more and more into it, but I'm not practiced at telling when they're sort of running out and sort of how that affects things. So I'll often be using it and then kind of just be like, why is everything not going well? Why is this not working? And it's like, oh, right, yeah, your pencil has changed. So, yeah. Just making sure you've got a few of them is a good idea. And again, it doesn't have to be heaps, but just a few sharpened is a good idea, I think. Okay, and yeah, that. Make sure we've got some stuff on the head there. So I'm going to bring this down, get a little scrap of paper, and while I sort of work on this, just because that brings it closer to me. So again, I might end up doing more than one pass on this head if this doesn't go well. Okay, that's not the best, sort of most symmetrical horn, but it'll probably do. And again, some of that hair, I've made the hair sort of way more sort of pretty and Art Nouveau here. See if I can get some of that craziness back. It's probably, again, normally I use a 0.5 mechanical pencil for this stage, but we'll see how we go. Just going to creep up on these things. All right. So got this. Here. So again, I'm a little bit blind to other things that are going on in the page here. So I'm probably gonna, like, again, zoom out a little bit and sort of just double check. This is where it's very easy. I've made some sort of like really simple mistakes this way by just not quite paying attention. Again, not sure whether that arm is like too wide. Something like that might be a bit more realistic. Let's sharpen this pencil. That's a bit better. Again, just got to remember to sharpening, keep sharpening it. So again, this arm is getting like sort of super long. So again, what I'm trying to do is just make it a bit more like that only these bottom sort of fingers are actually gripping. Don't. Go. Alright, what else have we got? Get this other arm over here. This one again, we've sort of got the thumb out here. And again, let's get rid of this. And it's probably a good opportunity to like rotate the page. Have a look. Also, just turning things upside down can help, you know. You just turn your page upside down and it'll really allow you to kind of see. It's strange, but yeah, it does allow you sometimes to be able to see different little things. There we go. Alright, so again, at least I've got those. I feel like, again, that thing is like probably... We could probably make this a little bit sort of thinner. Alright, so it's kind of like... some texture there. Maybe think about that being wood. Might need to do another pass on that. So again, it's very tricky to, right, like easy. I find it very easy to get caught up in, again, trying to be too precise. Put some spikes on this for some reason. Again, I feel like this is better if this kind of almost becomes like a sharper blade or something. So again, yeah, I feel like we just, again, fallen into that trap a little bit of being a bit too tight with some of these. And it can happen because, again, it's get really fiddly. So I lose that sort of decisiveness with the strokes. And again, a big like what that sort of manifests as is it sort of we're a little bit less playful, right? In the way we, in the way I'm sort of moving across the page. And so we lose that sort of energy. Here's where, again, that pencil's getting too sharp. Too blunt, rather. Now it's too sharp. Gotta have it just right. So again, trying to avoid doing a lot of sort of heavy shading, right? Trying to make it feel as if all these things are kind of individual hatch marks, because I feel like that gives things a little bit more of that line quality. Just refining some of those last sort of tertiary forms. So let's put in this cape. Now, again, that's not good drawing. Let's trace that around. Draw through. Add some roughness to it. See, once it starts to come together, I feel a little bit more sort of fluid in the strokes. That sort of initial phase tends to make me sort of cramp up a little bit. Alright, so we've totally forgotten to do the legs at this point, so hopefully they're in the right position. Again, probably would have made a lot more sense to do them earlier. So I know the knees there, this other knees here. I mean, I know they're roughly going to be around here. Put this, I think that needs to be a little bit lower. Something like that. All right, let's rotate this so it's a bit easier to see. Okay, transfer that over. All right, let's draw in the heel. Let's sort of trace this over. Let's think about putting in the ball of the foot. Let's connect them. Got knees there. And probably we're going to have some kind of fantasy boots that are magically made of many straps of leather. Yeah, I kind of want to erase this, although that's a bit risky, just because I feel like that's just confusing shape design there, and it sort of makes it harder to see the potential line of that figure. Alright, I'm avoiding doing these. Okay, those feet are not, don't feel as if they're sitting on the same ground that well. But again, it's probably not the worst mistake to make. Again, most of the time people don't care about feet. Which doesn't mean you can draw them right like Rob Liefeld and just do a little pointy thing, but it does mean they are down the hierarchy of importance. See if we can push some of the contrast here again, re-establish some of that darkness. Yeah, let's see if we can separate this a little bit. Alright, so probably again it's a case of like, that'll have to do. Because again, we don't want to spend too much time on something like this. But whenever you're doing your own sketching, again, it's a matter of like figuring out what your intent is going into it. Are we trying to do something finished? Are we trying to be rough? Are we going to get upset, if everything's not 100% sort of accurate? Is this something that's for study? Is this something for, just for fun? What's it for? What's the goal? What's the outcome? What are we trying to do? That will solve a lot of problems. All right, let's see if we can. It's got it all sort of twisted again. See if we can rough in some sort of ground plane to kind of help us visualize where the character's kind of sitting. If you have messed up the feet placement, again, this can even help that a bit. If you kind of put the shadow in there underneath, it kind of makes everything a little bit more cohesive. But yeah, that's it. I think we're pretty much done. I would kind of like play around with the face and those kind of things a little bit more. But again, the intent needs to be clear. This is meant to be a sketch, right? We don't need everything to sort of be perfect. And it's always possible to go in there and, start fiddling with it and completely mess it up. I feel like we could here again. This thing was never really that good. I think it could probably be a little bit more sort of elegant. And just sort of try and build and think about the form of it. And again, what I want to do is make it a little bit clearer that we're sort of looking very far away from it. So opening up this ellipse. Go. Bit of stuff blowing in the air because again, her hair's blowing. And that's it. Add a mark. And we're done. Cool. So thanks for hanging out and chatting about drawing. Again, not a lot of talking. Apologies, not talking through it all the time. This was pretty challenging in terms of, trying to sort of warm up and do this at the same time. But yeah, hopefully, it gives you a few ideas for how you can sort of approach your sketching. But yeah, the most important thing is we just sit down and we do it every day just because we do, just because it's kind of fun. Sometimes they turn out well, sometimes they don't. The good thing is if they don't turn out well, you've got something to work on tomorrow. Anyway, that's all I got. Catch you around. Happy drawing.